John Fosselman.
Yes, sir.
One of my favorite, not one of, my favorite, unless it's cloudy, chocolate chip is my flavor, and mint chip, in case anyone ever wants to buy me any ice cream.
Probably your favorite boss you ever had, too, right?
You know what? I wasn't going to talk about this, but yes, one of them.
Goes
So
back
I worked
a few
there
years.
when I was 16 through 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And not many people know this, but I've been fired from a job twice, and I've been rehired twice. And the first time that happened to me was at Fosselman's.
I think that's true. Can't argue with that.
You used to
Natural-born salesman, Jason Bergman.
When you want to be late, you have to give us a call ahead of time. So I'd call like a minute before and be like, "Oh, I'm going to be late."
Funny how that works, isn't it? I'm still telling people that today. So
I know.
I have 25-year-old guys I have to remind that every day. So nothing's changed.
But, you know, it was a really cool experience, and it was a family business. Got to work under your dad, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And then growing up, you go to a place like that, you know, it's the novelty of.
Sure.
And it hasn't changed, really.
No. Remember your grandpa bringing you in as a little kid.
Yeah. Isn't that
your
funny?
Mom and grandpa and the whole family. Yeah. Your sister.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And then your dad hired me.
Yep.
And that was it.
He had an affinity for the fast talkers. You know? He liked those. He liked those salespeople.
Your dad was great.
Yeah, he was really good guy.
So anyway, let's tell people about Fosselman's that don't know about it.
Sure. So Fosselman's is celebrating their 100th year this year. So yeah, 19. Thank you. Thanks.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, 1919. My grandfather, Christian Anthony Fosselman, started his ice cream business in Waverly, Iowa. So
I didn't know that.
We started out as brewmasters. Our great-grandfather was a brewmaster, came from Germany, went to Iowa. They had a early prohibition in Iowa, so they changed all their bottling lines to soda pop. So when my grandfather he came out to a bottling convention in L.A. back in 1918.
Was it really soda pop?
It was, well, wink, wink, right?
I'm just kidding.
So he came out to a bottling convention of all things in LA, and he saw all this new machinery. And one of the things he saw was ice cream manufacturing equipment, which for whatever reason intrigued him, probably because he was in Iowa and big farm state. So he bought a machine, he brought it back to Iowa, and he started making ice cream and decided that California would be a lot better place to make ice cream with the weather than in Iowa. So he moved his whole family out here. And so he started Fosselman's Ice Cream in 1921 in Pasadena. 1919 was when he started making it in Iowa, but in 21 he started his shop on North Fair Oaks, just between Del Mar and California. So the building still stands. So if you're familiar with like Gale's Pizza and all those antique malls, that was all his property.
Oh wow!
And so the Fair Oaks side was home delivery. The Raymond side was all manufacturing, distribution to like restaurants, hotels, things like that.
And was it dairy, or was it all dairy, or was it all ice cream back then?
It was ice cream, dairy. They did ice cream, butter, milk, cream, half and half, all of it. So they did all of it.
Were they delivering to house too?
They were, yeah. Back in the day
awesome.
when, you'd actually leave the milk in the little, cut out in the back door. And
what was the name of that brand that with the cow in it? You know, they still do that, or I think they were supposed to go under.
Still here, Brogears.
Brogears, yeah.
Yeah, they do the glass bottle milk.
Right,
so right. Same idea back then. But yeah, Brogears actually just reopened again.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, kind of cool.
And then so that was your great.
That was grandfather.
Your
grandfather. So my grandfather was the first generation in the ice cream business. And then my dad and two uncles, when he passed away in 1946. Mm-hmm. And so they were more focused in retail. They had kind of coffee shops / soda fountains, and they had one in Highland Park, had one in South Pasadena, and then they had Alhambra. And so they did, sandwich, like a sandwich counter, soda fountains, phosphates, sodas, that kind of thing. And then over time, they kind of slowly kind of dialed them back due to, redevelopments and kind of the economy and whatnot. And they ended up at our main plant, which is in Alhambra. So that's 1941. We've been there since then, and we've had a retail store there since like the early 70s. It just used to be a kind of a counter. Now it's a full-scale, ice cream store.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine how Highland Park changed and then changed back a little bit and then changed again?
My dad would be he's probably rolling over in his grave right now thinking about it, because he left because it was such a downturn.
Right.
You know, and it used to be a really kind of popular shopping place, and they had some of the first department stores, Ivers and Peoples, and they had, just a really bustling community.
Yeah.
And through the time, it just kind of, went downhill, and so they finally decided to close it. One of my biggest regrets is that there used to be this really cool old retro sign on the building, and it was there for 20 plus years. They never removed it.
Oh.
And I
didn't know.
finally went and finally go, you know what, I'm going to pay the money to get it. And it was off the building.
Oh.
And it just kills me because it was such a cool old sign.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, my wife and I, we go over to Highland Park all the time and think about it
course.
fondly. I used to go there as a kid.
Just
and
having the property still.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine?
I wish, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't. But no, great spot. And again, it's cool to see it, though. It's just the transition of the neighborhood. We've kind of seen the same thing, where we're at now, Alhambra.
Definitely. That goes to my next question. So the interesting thing about me, well, you being there for all those years, but then me even working there, I don't want to say how long ago, but many years ago, watching the customer change.
Sure.
And your dad probably saw that,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
Saw it again. And then
Yep.
me being able to see that as well is pretty crazy.
Sure.
Just for whatever the demographics changing, which is cool. But I remember seeing you guys adapt to it a little bit, and I think specifically because you had restaurants that you would provide product to.
True.
Right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
So that's when you started doing the green tea, because it's predominantly an Asian demographic.
Was
Or
a
it
big,
was for a
big
while.
change, yeah,
Right.
for the area, for sure.
And then you started doing like ubi.
So
or
we
how do you
did,
say-
we did a lot of Filipino flavors. So we do ube, which is
Right.
similar to taro. It's like a sweet potato, a yam.
Uh-huh.
We do macapuno, which is like a soft coconut. It's like a kind of a mutant coconut. We do red bean. We do lychee. We do ginger. We do matcha green tea. Taro root is a
Right.
huge one for us. And so kind of over the evolution, too, with the change in times was we would really get the ideas were from our customers. Kind of the neat thing was people would come into the store and ask us, well, you should make red bean. Well, what does a guy from South Pasadena know about making red bean that
Right.
didn't grow up in that culture? And so they would tell us, the customers would tell us where to get the best red bean, how to cook it, what the temperature should be, those kind of things.
Wow.
So it was kind of a neat collaborative process, that really they taught us, and we kind of brought them a product that they couldn't get anywhere else. So it helped kind of put us back on the map too, in a sense that you couldn't go find taro or black sesame or green tea anywhere back in the late 80s, early 90s, because all the big guys wouldn't touch it. So it
Right.
created this kind of neat little niche for us that, hey, we can do this for you, and we can do it on small artisanal batches, and you don't have to buy more than 12 gallons of product at a time, which was really appealing to them, because everywhere else they went, they would ask for a 1,000-gallon run of
Right.
product, which they couldn't go through. They wouldn't be able to sell it.
Right. Well, I think saying that has a lot to do with why you guys are still around after 100 years.
Yeah, I think
obviously.
I think you have to be responsive to your customers. As things changed, I remember probably '92. We had this one guy came in, and he was a Chinese.
I was working there.
Yeah, '92, and Bergman was in the house. But we had
Pre-fired.
But we had a Chinese newspaper salesman that came in every day, and he got ice cream. And he always wanted to sell us ad space. And we're like, how are we going to buy Chinese newspaper ad? We don't know, how to do the transcription. We don't even know how would we appeal to your customer base? And he wouldn't let it go. And he kept coming back, and he kept coming back. And we pay for very little advertisement. We've been blessed that we have great things like this, that, we get free advertisement, all the social media.
Right.
But we trusted him, and we did it. And we had a friend who was Chinese kind of look over it and make sure it was, written properly, transcribed right. And it was probably the best ads we've ever run in our life.
Wow.
It was amazing because you saw instantaneous response. Kind of, this was, again,
Social media.
Social media.
Pre-MySpace.
So
even,
so you could
pre-
actually visually see the return on your dollar.
Right.
Versus if you were advertising in a local newspaper, you kind of never knew. So it was great to see that, when you're selling, 150 half gallons of taro over a weekend, you know where that came from.
Right.
You know, it didn't come from the Alhambra newspaper.
And the cool thing is, having your plant on site, you could respond. Like
exactly. And that's
like Monday morning, you could, Chris, walk in and make
completely. And so that's a huge part of our niche is that, so we make all of our ice cream in batch freezers. What that means is it's 12 gallons per batch. Each machine can make basically 5 batches an hour. So 60 gallons an hour per machine. We have 5 machines running about 12 hours a day. I mean, you can do the math over time, but we can make a lot of product in a very small area. But the beauty of it is that we can audible in the middle of the day. We get, accounts that'll call us and they need a specialty product, like you're saying.
In 3 days or
in
something.
3 days or 2 days, and we can do it, fit it in the same day.
Right.
And so the big guys, they'll do, 2,000-3,000 gallon run of one flavor, and then they got to break everything down. We can be doing green tea on one, English toffee on another, cappuccino on the other, and keep things moving. So it's definitely a benefit for us, especially being in LA with so many diverse clientele, that we can pretty much make anything. If we can get the ingredients, we can put it in an ice cream within 24 to 48 hours.
You know what's funny? Do you remember me asking about cookie dough for like 10 years?
I think you asked about a lot of things from what I remember.
But it's funny, and you finally made cookie dough, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, cookie dough. Well, and see, a lot of it is stuff like that, over years, we had somebody that wanted us to make Nutella forever. And we're like, who knows what Nutella is back in the day? And we've been making Nutella for 20 years now. Same thing with horchata, is another one that is just a huge staple of what we do. And those are just by people coming in. So we've always said that one of our best, kind of like our test kitchen really, is our retail store. So we can bring out anything we make. If we have overrun on a certain product for maybe a hotel or a country club or the stand at a racetrack or whoever we sell to, and we'll put it out in the store, and we can see people, vote with their stomach. It's like if we go through it, we know that it's a hit.
It sits for 2 weeks, and
completely. We know that it's maybe we got to go back to the drawing board, but it's the coolest thing to see that real time response of people in your store going, wow, that's really good, that's fantastic, or hey, maybe make it a little more tart, or it's not the right color, or whatever it might be. And so we're responsive to that. We listen to our customers. We always have,
When you
here it comes. I
no,
see it.
because these guys, I mean, him and his brother, I spent a lot of time with them, and you guys would go back and forth and say that it was cloudy, the chocolate chip.
Yeah.
And would get super mad if I would say that.
Yeah.
If it was too gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was so funny.
Jason Bergman's got a good memory. So if the chocolate chip is a little cloudy or a little gray, it's because the chocolate is poured into the freezer. So basically what we do in chocolate chip is we're not pouring in chocolate chips like you would for cookies. So we take a really high-end chocolate, we melt it down, it's a liquid form. But if you don't have it at the right temperature, if it's too hot, and you pour it into the freezer, and what happens, it's kind of, if you've ever seen magic shell that you put on ice cream, it makes this hard shell over the ice cream. Well, what happens is when you pour the liquid into the freezer, it freezes and it shatters as it goes throughout the product. Well, if it's too hot, and Mr. Bergman doesn't like a gray chocolate chip, I'm guessing.
I like my chocolate chip in its purest form.
So if it's too hot, it turns out gray. If it's just the perfect temperature, you get a nice big flake throughout the whole process. The ice cream looks better. So we're much more attentive to the temperature of the chocolate nowadays.
I'm messing with you, obviously.
We call that the Bergman method.
Yeah. The funny thing was, these two guys were probably in their late 20s, right? When I was working there.
Yeah.
Or mid
I
to
was
late.
20 when we bought out my two uncles. Chris was 23.
Okay.
Talk about initiation by fire, right?
So the funny thing was, because you're brothers, and I would call you guys out and say, oh, it's a little cloudy, and they would go run and pull the product out, and they'd have to remake it. So it was kind of a joke.
He was, Jason was one of our biggest critics.
Hey, here you are, 100 years later.
And you got me to come after all that, right?
You're still here. That brings me to how much of your business has gone to retail outside of, or wholesale, excuse me.
Sure.
Versus like retail.
So we're probably 2/3 wholesale, a third of our business is retail at our own store. We have 600 plus wholesale accounts that we distribute to personally.
So you actually truck them?
We actually truck it in our own trucks 5 days a week, and then we sell to between 10 and 12 different distributors that'll take it statewide We have a couple that go to Nevada and Arizona.
Is that restaurants mostly, or is that chains? Or
so it's a little of both. We have kind of a mix of everything. So we do restaurants, we do retirement homes, we do country clubs, we do a lot of independent ice cream stores that may brand it as their own product.
Good.
We don't have a problem with that. It's up to them. So
that's interesting.
A lot of shops that I think your people watching right now have had our product certainly at different restaurants and ice cream stores that claim it's their own, which
of course
perfectly okay to do.
That's amazing though. Actually,
Yeah,
private label that.
No, it's cool, and we're totally happy with that. So that's one of the things we've always encouraged people to do is that if you want to open your own store, we'd be happy to kind of show you the ropes. We'll get you started with the product, and it'd be Jason's Ice Cream Shop featuring Fosselman's. You can do that without having to buy a franchise. We've never really wanted to get into the franchise business just because you become the policeman. And I think that I'd rather see people with kind of unique ideas make their own store.
Well, your product
utilizing
is
our
changing,
product.
but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're not always having to worry about how someone's representing you.
Right.
So on that note, my brother is opening a store. So we have one other brother.
Oh, you're telling me about that.
Yeah. So I have another
Where's
brother.
that, Upland
Mike,
or something?
Glendora. And so he'd never been in the business. So he, at 54, decided that he was sick of the corporate world and he's doing his own thing. And so he's opening the ice cream shop in Glendora in mid-September.
Exciting.
Featuring Fosselman. So Mike Fosselman will be running that. And
how fun.
Yeah. I don't know about starting at 54, but he's doing it.
You know what? 54 is a new 34.
I hope so.
So I think that, well, not only has, with what we're talking about, not only has the demographic change, but you have had an influx of competitors.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know if you really have competitors. I mean, because I enjoy specifically, it's going to sound weird, but a chewier ice cream.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe people don't get that, but
yeah,
I'm chubby, so therefore I do eat a lot of ice cream at night. And I actually prefer Fosselman's ice cream over anything.
Well, thank you for that.
And so I think, but as this has been going on, it's become cool to have an artisanal, there's donuts, there's ice cream, there's... I had a gal here that makes vegan pastries, and she's opening a shop in Frogtown.
For sure.
But how do you deal with like that? I mean, you stick to who you are, or do you?
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing. Is I think that over the years, everybody wants to kind of bend you or tweak you a certain way and go, hey, if you made a lower quality product just for us, we could sell 500-600 cans of it a week. Well, but then you change the whole brand and who you are. Right. So basically, if you had the 10% Fosselman's, if we ever made one, which we haven't, and you tasted it in a restaurant, you're going to go, that's not the Fosselman's I have down at Alhambra, or I have at Smitty's Grill, or I have at, the racetrack. And so we've never done that. I think the other thing is that the same thing with ingredients is people are so quick to go, oh, wow, the economy's a little tougher, it's a little tighter, I'm paying more for minimum wage, so I'm going to go to a lesser quality chocolate or a lesser quality vanilla. And we've never done that because we've always known that people might not know exactly what's wrong or that something's changed, but they're pretty attentive. They know, like you knew about the gray chocolate chip, they know what tastes different. They know that the portion's smaller. They know that the chocolate isn't the same. And then they stop going to your restaurant. They stop going to your bar. They stop going to your ice cream shop. And I think it's the biggest kiss of death for most smaller businesses, restaurants alike, that they cut corners. And if you do that, you're dead in the water.
Well,
over the long term.
Because I noticed Whole Foods has some ice cream that's like $18.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Well, and there's plenty of those. And
so have you, is that an avenue that you guys would like to go down, is distribution like that?
No. So, we deal in just 3-gallon and gallon-and-a-half bulk to all these restaurants and, high-end places. And we have a nice medium, point where we're below the average super premium ice cream. So ours is 16% butterfat. So we have this niche where we can compete against the big guys because we don't have all these different layers of people that we're paying to distribute product or whatever it might be, and we make it in a smaller facility, and we don't carry stuff for years. We don't add preservatives to our product. So, no, we feel like we have a kind of a sweet spot where we're at, and why get greedy with it? If it's, kept 100 years, we've kept our family, fed and housed and, living a decent life, why would we mess with that?
Do you still Do you have outside freezers now and all that? Because I know there's a big thing in storage and stuff.
Yeah, so we've pretty much built out every square inch of our place. I mean, if you came down and I took you in the back from when you worked there, there's not an inch of wasted space. The beauty that we have, because the way we make ice cream is that we literally do everything on demand. So we'll be real time making product that for today that's going out tomorrow. And that's the only reason we've been able to stay in that location for so long, is that we can flip our freezer literally overnight. We'll have, people come pick up 200-300 cans in the morning that we made yesterday.
Right.
And so the beauty of it is they come in, we literally palletize it, load their truck, and they're gone within 12 hours of it being made. I mean, there's not many places that can say that. And it's not just to say that it's the freshest, it's our reality. That's
right.
what we need to do.
Yeah.
And so it works great for both. It works great for the end consumer that they're getting ice cream that was made last night. And it works great for us so we don't have to move to a larger facility and pay double the rent or,
right.
Have a new mortgage or anything like that.
Right. Do you have like if someone said, hey, I want to start, like you were saying, private
Sure.
label, hey, I want to carry your ice cream.
Sure.
Do you guys have like a kit where like, hey, there's so many flavors you should have. This is what, because I know like the industry, the reality is you try to do 8% of your, right? It's like 8% and 10%.
Yeah, sure.
So do you give advice like that to people? Do people come to you for that?
So, one of the things we learned over time, and I mean for people listening too, is I think that anyone that has a business or a small business that offers a service, there's this kind of a fine line. So the fine line is that, we would love to help you get started in the sense of we'll supply you product, we'll tell you what's a good seller, we'll set you up with, terms and your delivery days and things like that. What Chris and I think, learned over time that was kind of a negative was back in the day, being overly eager and building the business back up, was we gave so much of our time for free. And, knowledge is very valuable.
Yeah.
And the longer you're in a business and the more you know how to run it and the more profitable you know how to run it, you got to be careful with who you tell what. And I can tell you some famous names of ice cream brands out there that picked our brain clean, saying they're going to use our product, and then they went out to compete against us. So we've gotten pretty savvy over time that, there's a fine line of how far we'll go.
Right.
But we're absolutely encourage people.
Well, I think a retail store versus a brand,
Yeah, and I think that, again, I'm all about the little guy. I mean, we've been the little guy that's made it through for, 100 years. I think that...
How many square feet is that?
So our front of our store is about 1,500 square feet. The whole building's, I think, about 5,000 square feet, not including like the outdoor freezers and whatnot. I think like for an ice cream store, the ideal spot would be no bigger than 1,200 square feet. And what I would tell people is, the reason I say that is that it sounds kind of, anti-customer. It's not meant to be anti-customer at all. It's for an ice cream store to be profitable, or even like a coffee house, you really need to move traffic. And you want people to move in and out. You don't want people to be there with a single cone for 3 hours.
Right.
You can't do that. You need to have multiple turns constantly. So like for us on a super busy day, we could do a ring up a minute. A ring up a minute is a very, very busy ice cream store.
Right.
And a ring up could be 5 banana splits, or it could be a single cone. It just, we do half gallons. But our goal is to move quantity, obviously. And I think that any small business needs to do that, unless you're going to just price it so high that you can absorb the cost to have somebody sit there for an hour and a half.
Right.
But ours, again, you can't make a ice cream cone last an hour and a half, even if you want it.
Right.
It's a disappearing commodity. So, but no, it's great. And I think that that's been our kind of mainstay, is to serve our customers quickly, get them in, make them happy, clean store, efficient, in and out, and then the next customer comes in.
Who has to mop the floors in the morning again? Because your dad was the one that would come in.
If they're not clean the night before, someone's in big trouble, let me tell you.
Well, no, because sometimes you would have. I mean, in the summer,
we still do it. I mean, I'm not kidding you.
You probably have more than one of the best Starbucks in LA. I would say, as much traffic at night. Yeah. Out the door for a good 6-7 hours.
It's pretty amazing. We're incredibly blessed to have the customer base we do, and for the longevity of it. I mean, you think of just even, we were joking about it, but it's the truth. I mean, you used to come in with your grandpa, your mom, you. That's 3 generations right there of your family alone that came into our store. We'll multiply that times the,
And I would bring in my kids and my
your
niece.
Kids, so your
my niece and
4th generation of your family has gone through our doors, which is amazing. I mean, that's talk about humbling to us that we've been able to do that and that people still patronize us for that long.
Do you advertise at all?
We really don't. I mean, the only advertising we do is, a little bit of social media that one of my guys that actually makes ice cream does it in between batches, if you can believe that. It's kind of crazy to see that too, that how valuable that is. And, the hits and, the shares that we get are mind-boggling for us because Chris and I didn't grow up in that generation, that a lot of other people did. So it's kind of cool to see real time, like, wow, one of the ones we just did was, so a lot of the guys in the back for me were bugging me to make this flavor, and I'm like, what is it? And it's like, it's chamoy and mango. And I'm like,
I saw that.
Chamoy and mango. I'm like, tell me about it.
What is chamoy?
So I had no clue what chamoy and mango was, but then it made sense to me. They said, all the fruit stands, you see the Latin fruit stands around town. So they cut the mango, they, sprinkle chamoy, which is kind of like a hot sauce and like a lime, it has lime juice in it. And then they roll it in tahini, the spice, right? And so we made a mango sorbet where one guy, as we're drawing it off, one guy's spraying in the chamoy, and the other guy's shaking the tahini in it to make kind of the swirl effect. And it was just killer. It was awesome. I mean, it's like a great, great flavor to the point that
these guys are ready for a scoop.
Yeah, that I bring
no
it
discounts, boys. Sorry. Full price, cash only.
But no, I mean, those are the kind of things. So that was like just a perfect idea of, we made it that day. The guys all loved it.
Took a photo.
We posted it.
Yeah.
We took a photo. I think we had something like 18,000 likes in like 24 hours on that one post that cost me nothing.
Yeah.
And that's when you see it and you see the share of it. And then it was funny, though, looking at social media and like, anybody else in business, I follow competitors and anybody else out there. There were 3 other chamango posts after ours that same day. But no, that's flattery, right? They're paying attention to you too.
Right.
So I didn't see it as a negative. I thought that was kind of cool that they thought that, hey, maybe we're on to something. Sometimes it gets a little irritating when you know that somebody's, punked a flavor that you've made. But I mean, that's commonplace. I mean, you can go up on, Orange Grove and Pasadena by my house and get the same thing, in a cart, which is cool.
Right.
So, yeah, but I think that the tough thing is for our business is we do come up with individual, unique flavors, and then seeing a competitor in LA using the exact same thing or a slight knockoff of it.
Do some of your customers remake what you make as well when you do stuff like that?
A ton. Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
again, it's flattering to a point, but then you get a little annoyed when they're also a wholesale-based business that's selling the same product and saying that it's theirs when you know that you've been making it for 10 years and they came and shopped you. But that's the real world, right? We all live in that world.
So, 100 years later.
Yeah.
And 20, what are you, 25 in?
Oh, yeah. No, 30.
You're 30 in?
Yeah.
I felt like you and Chris were pretty good with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, boundary. No, I mean,
a few melees
unless
here
it
and
was,
there,
yeah, but I mean, how do you, because a lot of people get scared about working with a sibling or parents or, do you guys hang out on the weekend?
I was down in San Clemente surf fishing with him last weekend.
Oh, good. Cool.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not to say that it's easy. It is not easy. Working in a family business is tough. And I mean, even see my dad and uncles do it. I think the tough part is that the work never goes away. When you go to Thanksgiving or Easter or a kid's birthday party, what the other guy said to you that day is still in your mind, and it might be still ticked off at him. But we learned over the years that you kind of just got to let it go, And I think as we've gotten older, it's gotten a lot easier. I think when we were in our 20s, it was a little tougher. Go out to Old Town, have a few drinks, and maybe get a little more mouthy than you should with each other.
I heard stories.
Yeah, you might have witnessed some.
No comment. More so from the other brother.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think it's it's great if you can do it and you have somebody that you get along with and that is, I think, complements maybe a different skill you bring to the business
or works really
or works,
right?
yeah. And so I've always been much more involved in kind of the sales and kind of the flavor creation. Chris has been much more on the manufacturing side, distribution side. So we have a good yin and yang that's, worked out well. I mean, we've been doing it for 30 years. So not many people have that longevity at any job,
right.
let alone with
or a marriage.
Yeah, with that too.
I mean, honestly,
absolutely,
right? Partnership.
No.
So you said 1,200 square feet when you mentioned
sure.
What do you think if someone wanted to start a ice cream shop?
Sure.
What kind of capital do you think would be needed for something like that?
Well, it's kind of cool that you ask it right now because I'm kind of going through it almost right now with my other brother, with my brother Mike.
Right. Okay, cool.
And
Perfect
so we were
example.
able to kind of talk him through, what he needed and what we thought he would need.
Is his about 1,200 square feet?
His is almost 1,200 square
perfect.
feet. So
okay.
he listened to us. He actually listened to us, which is a good thing. I would say for a 1,200 square foot store to, put in a good size or, all the equipment you'd need, which you need dipping cabinets, you need storage freezers, you need, malt mixers, things like that.
And you obviously had the access to all those vendors and everything.
Well, and we do. And so we were able to give him, all of the local guys. But I mean, they're pretty readily available. It wouldn't be that difficult. And when people buy ice cream from us, we'll tell them, where to buy their freezers and things like that, which is, it's a no-brainer for us. But I would say that for a shop like that, 150K, 200 max, 200 would be good just so you have, capital reserves, but you could do it for 150. And I think just being creative and, there's equipment out there there's a lot of ice cream stores that go out of business that you can pick up stuff for a steal.
Right.
That are great equipment that somebody just didn't do it right. I think the biggest problem that I've seen is over the years we've done, worked with so many individuals that have opened independent ice cream stores, is to think that it's going to be just a turnkey business.
Yes.
So you can go in, you're going to have a 16-year-old kid run it, and you're just going to come clean out the cash drawer every night. It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
And I think that that's probably the biggest.
Or they rely on that as their sole income.
They do. And
right.
I think that, you could have it as your sole income if you do it right and if you're willing to work at it. But I think a lot of people, we've had so many people that have put in just hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they think they can walk away from it. It's just going to be this cash cow.
It's an investment.
It's an investment, yeah. And, I think sometimes I'm like, give me $5,000 and I'll tell you not to do it.
Yeah.
If you're not going to work at it, I'll save you $250,000.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that do it super successfully, and I mean, just to give you an example, an average tub of ice cream, you could generate, a couple $100 on it profit if you do it right.
How many scoops are in a tub? Like 30, right?
60.
60? Oh, I'm way off.
64-ounce scoops.
Wow.
So 64-ounce scoops. But, I mean, you can do the math of all the ice cream stores you go to. But you can do it right. But it's like any business. You have to work it. There's no shortcuts. And I think that the tough thing now is everybody wants to – the other thing I'll see is that people will start scaling these businesses that are doing well, and then they get one that goes bad.
Right.
And they start, it kind of starts sucking off the other stores. But everybody's so quick to want to just get out. They think that, well, what's wrong with 3 really profitable, good stores?
Right.
Why does the end route always have to be selling to somebody else that's going to pay you way less?
Right.
You're not going to make as much profit. And then you're out, and then you got to rebrand yourself or create a whole new business.
Right.
And that's what always shocks
me.
me.
The long game.
Yeah, I think maybe being older now, looking at it and going, wow, why would you want to leave this? You've got a great gig going.
I mean, you're someone that has one banging location.
Yeah.
Is saying this, right? So,
sure.
yeah. No,
yeah, but I mean, I sell to places that have 3 and 4 that are really smoking busy too. And I think that everybody thinks that the only end game is to get out. Well, it isn't, trust me, because when you get out, then you got to reinvent yourself, and you got the odds of it not working in your next venture are high. I mean, the amount of small businesses that go out of business every year are crazy.
Are you guys, is this going to be a legacy for your family, or what are you guys thinking about your business?
That's a good question. So I only have one. I have a 15-year-old boy who, comes down work every Saturday, comes down and opens up with me and has his jobs that he does. And then Chris has 3 kids. We would never pressure anybody to feel like they had to do it. Our parents didn't pressure us. There were a lot of kids, a lot of cousins. Chris and I were the ones that were interested in doing it. There's got to be the interest in the drive.
Right.
But I think it wouldn't be any different. I mean, we bought out our 2 uncles, and then we bought out our parents. And I think that, a lot of people would be shocked by that. Like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Your parents made you buy it. And it's like, well, first of all, they ran it and they built it for 50 years. why would they just give it to us?
Right.
Second of all, I think I wouldn't have worked as hard at it had it been given to me. I know I wouldn't. And I've seen other friends that have had businesses given to them because, you know, had to put the sweat equity in. We had to pay these guys off, and then we had to figure out how to pay dad off and mom off. And there was a huge, you know, sacrifice on that. We were working 6 days a week, you know, nights, weekends, you name it. And it wasn't until we got, you know, married probably 10 years later that we kind of had a more normalized schedule, but we had no choice. That was it. You know, we were hungry.
Well, I think we've had a lot of, I mean, you're probably like the almost 30th guest, honestly, this summer. And so a lot of people I've noticed have either had started with nothing or had funded from their parents.
Yeah. Sure.
Luckily, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like your situation is a little bit different because the business was there. However, you had to work to get that business for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what a lot of people wouldn't get it. So you know, I was 20, Chris was 23. And of course, a 20 and a 23-year-old guy can't get a bank loan. Nobody's going to give you a loan for a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
So we set it up. We had a great CPA who's still with us to this day. He's been our family CPA for 40 plus years. And he set up a promissory note where it's like we literally loaned, the uncles held the promissory note. If we defaulted on it, they took everything back and they still made money.
Right.
So we were it was a 15-year payout for the two uncles, and then it was a 10-year payout for my dad. What a deal, though. Yeah, well, it worked out.
Not a bad deal, yeah.
Well, yeah, but if you think of what we grossed back then versus what we do now, you know, we were sweating it out. I mean, that was when we really had to get out and hustle and beat the bushes. And, you know, we had probably 10 wholesale accounts then. Now we have 650 or whatever.
Wow.
So, I mean, it just shows you the difference in, you know, back then, 30 years ago.
Are you still hands-on the retail side, or you guys let someone manage that and then
we're still there every day. We have a manager, a night manager that does all the scheduling, but we're still definitely, you know, I open Saturdays, Chris opens Sundays. Come down, make sure the place is running right, that everybody shows up, that the money's in the cash register. But no, it's got to be hands-on. That's what I was saying with anybody that brings in one of these new, and we're even talking to our brother about it with this new place. We're like, you can't just turn it over to somebody else. Nobody's going to run it like you will.
Right.
No one will.
Cool.
No matter what.
Great advice.
Yeah.
I think Justin had a couple questions.
Sure.
He really did, though.
Okay.
So Justin took this over about 6 months, 4, 8?
We moved in 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm way off. 2 years ago. But the cafe opened a year ago.
Okay.
So he's got the cafe. He's running that catering out of the back.
Okay. Sure.
There's a kitchen back there. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. So we opened here about a year ago. We started with just coffee in the morning. I worked a lot with Chuck to kind of mentor me through all that process. Started with just morning hours and just added to be open until 3. Pretty soon we'll be open until 5 and have a little more menu. And then we have Sunday brunch, which is kind of like the bigger menu and fun.
Sure.
And then there's Taco Tuesday, which is kind of working out.
Yeah.
What do you think about ice cream in a place like this? Like, how would you add it in, or is it just something that doesn't have enough space?
No, I mean, I think you could definitely behind the back bar over there easily have, you know, a small cabinet that would carry, you know, 4 flavors, something like that. You can do, you know,
like what Jones has on Mission Street.
Kind of similar to what Chuck has. So yeah, I mean, Chuck started his coffee business in Soda Jerks up on Fair Oaks.
I didn't know that
where he was even roasting there. But no, I think, you know, obviously with the coffee business or your cafe, there's all kinds of add-ons you can do. You know, you can do simple, you know, root beer floats. You know, there's all kinds of like the cool old-fashioned sodas that, you know, with a scoop of vanilla and you add a high-end soda to it. You know, it's a $4.50 item that would be a compliment to kids coming here for, you know, dessert, doing some kind of an a la mode. If you're, you know, I know you do the catering, do some kind of a cool, you know, pie. We do a cinnamon or a French vanilla or like a lemon custard, you know, a la mode. I mean, so there's a lot of different things that you can do. Doing like what we do really well with is we do like 6 packs of hand-done ice cream sandwiches. You know, you guys make cookies for your catering gigs. You know, you put a scoop of Fosselman's ice cream in there, and you basically
Fosselman'sIceCream.com.
Yeah, but it's a huge markup item. It's something that everybody likes. It's easy to serve. I mean, I can tell you for my son's all of his school events, the biggest thing they ask for me to donate is, can you bring the your ice cream sandwiches? But people love that, and it's just a simple, easy, hand-on. A la mode is an easy way to do it where you're not taking a lot of space. We do gallon and a half size tubs too, so if you had a smaller freezer, you could do multiple flavors where half tub size, and we're right down the street from you. We can deliver it to you, or you can come in and we'll call it anytime the store is open. So that'd be an easy way. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of freezers that would fit behind that.
I think
bar over there.
affogato too.
Affogato would be perfect too. Yeah.
No joke. I was gonna say a joke after that.
Yeah.
No, I think that'd be awesome.
No, for sure.
Those are good, man.
Yeah. Well, and like Chuck up at his place, as Buster's before, they did food and ice cream and did really well with it. It was, the girls ran that for 30 plus years. The guy that used to be the caterer here years and years ago, he used to use ice cream and do a la mode and things like that and did pretty well with it too. Mark.
Yeah, I have a story about that actually.
Yeah.
We, I think it was for a Rose Bowl job one.
Yeah, I probably.
December, January.
Yeah.
You were kind enough to let us borrow one of your freezer trucks.
You got a great memory, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And I returned it probably a couple days after that with a brand new extension cord installed because I left it plugged in back here overnight because we were going to give the product back to you.
Yeah.
Whatever we didn't use, we were going to get back as long as it stayed in the truck.
Sure, yeah.
So I left it plugged in the back door. And I was running late in the morning. Maybe I was a little foggy headed.
Yeah.
I just drove off and yanked off.
Oh, snapped it off, huh?
Went up to, was it Builders Emporium at that time? Maybe it was Builders Emporium.
Could have been, yeah.
And I learned how to
Splice it all back together.
Nice.
That part I do remember loaning you guys the truck though. Yeah, that was a big event you'd do down there.
You still have that white Silverado?
Yeah, with newer versions of them, but yeah, do it the same way, Yeah, wow, that's a cool old story. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, this place, when I was a kid, I was telling somebody earlier tonight that this used to be Tom's Market, and it was like the coolest place for all the kids to ride their bikes down, and they had all the like nickel penny candy, and this was like we rode here every summer, and I get the nickel candy. So yeah, no, I think adding ice cream would be easy here, and very low cost too, for sure. Yeah, sure.
Egan, Jenny Huber has a question.
It's funny you bring it up because it's so hot now, and it's just a totally different process where the biggest thing is that the way that they fill the mochi and they put it in that kind of this coating, it's kind of like a rice-based coating. It takes really specialized machinery from Japan, and from what I've been told, unless you have somebody that is like the master of making the dough, it's literally impossible.
But they listen to the customers, and if you were to go in there every day, well,
we'll hand roll you a mochi ball myself.
By tomorrow, you could have 80 mochis. Egan, did you have a question?
Yeah, more of a business question.
Sure.
We do private equity family office, and we recently bought a large commercial bakery.
Yeah.
With a lot of ethnic products manufactured in the bakery. There's a rice-based product area.
Sure.
And so 200 plus products, and we bought 6 restaurants with it.
Oh, wow.
Restaurant bakeries, bakery cafes. And ice cream was part of the plant. They used to make ice cream in the plant, the bakery plant. And for some reason they stopped that.
Yeah.
And the stores stopped selling ice cream. So,
Interesting.
I've never really been able to talk to the family about why they did that.
Sure.
But here's the question. We like buying platform, right, for expansion. But are more of these kinds of plants somewhere else, like just in Texas. Have you thought of using your 100-year-old history and story as a platform
to kind of grow throughout the country?
and do smaller plants? Oh, by the way,
Oh, that's a good question.
My comment, what tagged me into it was your flexibility of production. That's what this bakery represents as well.
Yeah.
And
And there's been, we've been approached by tons of people over the years for that. And I think for us, it's just being here our entire life, and all of our family, all of our friends, everybody is based in San Gabriel Valley, Southern California, where it hasn't been as appealing to go to another state or whatnot. We've always looked at the possibility of down the road, being open to what it would look like, if somebody came in and said they wanted to partner with it. Sure. Well, yeah, and we think that. I mean, we truly believe that too. And I've talked to a lot of people about it over the years, is that there aren't a lot of 100-year-old family businesses with the history that we have, with the quality that we have, that Ben and Jerry's back in the day, they were making a couple $100,000 a year is all they were bringing in when they got bought out. It was just the perfect timing, perfect storm for them. But they had a cool niche. They had great ice cream, and then they had, all of their kind of giving back philanthropic efforts that they've stuck with. But yeah, we wouldn't rule it out. I think as Chris and I get older, we'd be open to any of that. It's got to be the right deal. It's got to be the right, would we keep California and go regional with it? I think ideally it would be great. Everybody seems to come with, yeah, we'd love to do it, but they don't have any plan to execute. Mm-hmm. Sure. Absolutely. For sure. No doubt about it. And I think that's always been our position, is that we've had plenty of people come. We've had a ton of Asian businessmen especially come to us too, wanting to replicate Fosselman's in China. And we're like, okay, well, that sounds great, but how are you going to build the plant? Liquid dairy is very difficult to source in China. To be able to make the type of product that we make here would be very difficult to import in all the product.
Right, because you want to keep all your same ingredients.
Yeah, you want to keep everything, the same, and uniform. But I think here, having a plant in Texas or Tennessee or something like that would be totally doable. It's just a matter of having the right partner to come in and go, hey, we're in it for the long haul. We want to make it the way you make it. I go to trade shows. I go to a fancy food show in San Francisco. I go up every January. I go to LA food show in Vegas and whatnot, and we promote another brand. So we do a soft serve, like a high-end soft serve that we just started.
Oh, I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, about 4 years ago. And we did that for a couple of quick service restaurant chains, and they wanted Fosselman's quality, but in soft serve, where they could make rapid, shakes and soft serve sundaes and whatnot. And so I didn't think it would work, and they kept kind of pounding me to do it. And I finally figured out that we could do it, and we could do it the right way with a dairy partner, which we've done. And it's been a great, new side business. That's awesome. Yeah, so it's cool. So they manufacture the product to our specs. It's under our name. They distribute it, and I basically just get paid a fee per gallon for it, which is great. I wish I could do a lot more of that. Yeah.
I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, it's funny because there's actually a soft serve. It's like a cult soft serve place called Big Gay Ice Cream Truck.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I just saw them in the store.
Yeah. So and that's.
But they take the topping and they infuse it in the. There's a unicorn as their logo. It's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
But they have a line at the door, and they're all over New York.
Well, and they were again another example of a small business that did a licensing deal. They weren't bought out, but they did a licensing deal with Nestle, and did really well with it.
Interesting.
Nestle's the one that put them in pints, but something like that, having Nestle do a licensing deal, we'd be all over that.
I think I just saw them at either Whole Foods or Pavilions.
Yeah, no, and they started on the East Coast, and they've definitely branched out here. But that was a Nestle deal. I know that.
It's funny when you go to the freezer section of the grocery store now, at least here in California.
Yeah, sure.
The expansion of ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's funny because you see the cool brands and then you see dryers and all the dryers and all, you know, but there's like a whole row of
new
almost
artisanal,
like coffee.
Well, or like craft beer.
Right.
Exactly. The beer aisle has gotten like 3 rows down,
You've got all those guys that came, and who are the guys from Santa Barbara?
McConnell's.
Yeah, they're killing it too, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, cool.